Hello and welcome back to another episode of Your Content Factory. My name is Blake. Welcome. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for tuning in. If you're sitting down, if you're standing up, if you're walking, if you're at the gym, if you're at some places, I appreciate you listening here. And we're here to give you some value. Okay. How can we help you refine your knowledge of content creation centered around podcasting? Because again, I believe the podcast is the foundation for your content creation. If you got that rolling, it's easier to fill in all the gaps. So thanks for tuning in. I have a special guest today, a recent friend of ours, long-term friend of Mallory, who has kind of helped her career go to where it's been. And kind of indirectly, I have here, Sean, how do you say your last name again?
Denovan.
Sean Denovan. Yeah. Okay, head of the radio department at Utah Tech here locally in St. George. Just a wealth of knowledge here, just years and years of experience doing radio, doing podcasting, doing a lot of YouTube stuff. So we're excited to have you because it's kind of come full circle. Mallory was a student of yours years ago, probably. I
think she passed the class. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if she didn't, she still learned something.
It was a 50-50.
I may have paid under the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Paid in donuts, cash, you're accepting bribes still.
Oh,
right?
totally. 100%.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's awesome to see, you have a great program. I've heard people talk about the radio program before. Your name's been brought up before, especially knowing Mal, because I think you got Mallory. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, or you can jump in, Mal, but Sean got you your first internship with the X90 excuse my language there, X96 team, correct? I was getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Sean hooked me up with Richie T in Salt Lake at X96 for an internship there, so that's kind of where it all started.
Nice.
Oh, good. You owe me. All right.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Mal kind of developed a love for audio. I mean, you've always loved music, right, Mal? But you kind of shaped when you were at, then was Dixie College or Dixie State, I think.
Yeah, it was still Dixie back then.
Yeah, in your program, right?
College, state, or university. Yeah, I guess Dixie's gone through 3 changes just as Dixie.
Yeah,
before it became
College,
Utah Tech,
state, university.
Yeah,
and then Utah Tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, they got some identity issues over there. They're still figuring out who they are and which direction they want to go.
Well, right now they identify as. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's the time. So, but that's awesome. So I kind of want to dive into your story because you've been doing this forever. You got your start in radio. You were telling me the other day, I want to hear you say it into the mic though. So could you start there? Could we hear that?
How the radio part or the?
Yeah.
I guess, okay. We'll go back to
circa 1985.
Actually, no, you're pretty spot on.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was a kid growing up listening to the radio. And loved the idea of the radio. Call in, won all the radio contests and stuff like that, which then led to me starting to DJ church dances and stuff like that, school dances.
Nice.
And so my junior year, I took a drama class, and one of the assignments was to do a radio play. I thought, all right, cool. So I'm like, I listen to the radio, and I have all this DJ equipment. Brought some friends over, and we recorded a 10-minute radio show play program. Mm-hmm. And so we played it in class, and the cute blonde girl in front of me said, "You should do radio. You have a voice for radio." And there started the series of bad decisions I've made because of women in my life. So the next year, my senior year, we had a high school radio station at another high school. So transferred high schools, did radio there for a year. And then college, and then internships. So I grew up in San Jose, worked in San Francisco, went to school in Idaho and Utah, worked in Salt Lake at X96 for a while. Let's see, what am I? Minnesota, Colorado. I did satellite radio for a stint. Worked 3 days at one job and got fired at 5:05 a.m. in the elevator. That was fantastic. Elko, Nevada. That was a highlight of my career. And then ended up here in St. George. Nice. And did radio for about 6 years at Canyon Media, and then the job at the college opened up. Went back to school, got my master's degree, which then gave me full-time status and job at the college.
That's awesome.
And so I've been there since end of 2010.
Okay, so 12 and some change, 12 years and some change. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So that, I want to unpack some stuff about that and just kind of find out, so you were kind of spurred on there by a pretty girl. Yeah, as we all are.
No,
as men at some point, you know. Yeah, I remember. I joined the military because I wanted girls to like me in my uniform.
Did it work?
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mal?
Yeah. She's never seen me in uniform.
What?
Actually. No.
Okay.
I don't have the pleasure.
I am.
Well, Halloween's coming. Dress up.
I am twice divorced. Yeah. So it was a journey in and of itself, ups and downs. But anyway, so yeah, you spurred on a cute girl's like, you should do radio. And you're like, maybe I should, yeah.
So a small little come around with that story. So a number of years later, I'm working in San Francisco, answering the request line for the Friday night request show. That girl called up.
No kidding.
And I was able to take her call, and she had no idea who I was.
Did you tell her?
Oh, I told her everything. She's like, I don't remember. I don't know. I'm like, it's like 3 years ago, lady. So,
such a blonde move.
I was disappointed.
That's so funny though. So she just like had no idea.
No idea. I was just some strange guy on the phone taking her request to play Barbie girl or something.
But it like meant everything to you.
I was like, you're the one that
this has come full circle.
Oh yeah, I don't.
And you don't even know. That's funny. Well, before we unpack further, I think too we have with us some special guests in the studio. I think Joseph's on the controls with Mallory. Joseph's one of your audio students. Mm-hmm. So for those of you listening, we're building a team, and you've already given us, 2 potential interns. They're here for the first time checking it out. So Joe, say something in the mic, man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. This is great.
This is great. Okay, cool.
We got a full house in the office here. We got 2 interns. So
yeah, we have Anna, one of our clip cutters and editors for some other content. She's in there kind of showing what she does to Marcus and Joseph, so they're kind of going to be switching stations. But that's a direct reflection of the work you've done as well, because Marcus and Joseph are in your audio class. Mm-hmm. And like, what classes are you teaching now? Maybe we should establish that, and then we'll go back and unpack some.
So I teach audio production, which is the basics of audio. So how to do basic audio editing. We use Adobe Audition. And then kind of a small peppering of all things audio. This is how speakers work in mics and voice. Like today we did a lesson about voiceover and speaking voice. How to record for TV and film and radio. Just a little bit of everything. All while learning how to do projects like record a Zoom call and clean it up, do a podcast, make it sound good, do a radio play, record your voice for 10 seconds and save it properly. So that's the audio class. The second one I teach is radio and podcasting. Right. So that's much more of you're on the radio, you push the buttons, you talk into the mic, and then make radio commercials, broadcast the sports games, do remotes on campus. Right. And then also learn basics of podcasting, how to get a podcast started, where to put your audio, how to distribute it, and different types of podcasts.
Oh, okay.
So kind of like what we're doing. I call this the two guys in a mic podcast.
Yeah, this is like an interview style, right? It's pointed questions, conversation, but
what to ask, what not to ask, and then I talk about fully produced podcasts. You have your storytelling, your true crime, so you have the music and you have the interviews, and so you have multiple elements of audio and being able to put that together. So a lot of the audio production side stuff.
How much does radio and podcasting jive? There's a ton of overlap there.
I
imagine.
Yeah. It was just a no-brainer to take the space I have at the radio and say, okay. Well, it's funny because any space that you use for radio can be a podcast studio.
Oh, absolutely.
Here's your recording, here's your mics, end of story. But all I did was, shave the cat, call it something different, and now it's a podcast studio.
Yeah, exactly.
People go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I said, it's the same thing. But I don't know. I put up some podcast-looking stuff through a couple cameras, and the evolution is away from the audio only and moving towards video.
Right.
Which is why you got the super nice cameras in here and the lighting and whatnot.
Right.
Otherwise, we can just be doing this in your garage, next to your tool shed. Who cares? Nobody sees anything.
That's what I love about podcasting, because it can scale up, like as simple as 2 people just recording a conversation on a phone. That's how a lot of podcasters actually started. Or
shame on them. Yeah. They should know better.
I
Come
agree.
see me. I'll fix that for you.
I think with today's, if you have YouTube, if you have an Amazon account and you have like a couple $100, you can really improve a lot of audio with some really cool tech that's super cheap. And like just that one bump, because the radio or a podcast, what do you think the most important part of like your setup or should be? Like,
I need a more defined question there.
let me rephrase it. How important is good audio in any level of production?
Way more important than anybody assumes. I call it the redheaded stepchild of media.
Yeah.
The Danny Bonaducci of sound and video and stuff. Bad audio will always trump good video anytime. You can have the best video, but if it's crappy audio, people will shut it off. I've walked out of movies. I walked out of the the Batman movie twice
because they messed up.
The audio was horrible in
what was
over
his
at
name?
Pineview
Bane.
and Sunset. Yeah, but just the whole, I couldn't hear it. I'm like, this sucks. Why'd I spend $12 for this?
Did you know they botched the audio on every release on that? On the Gotham or whatever. It was the third one of the
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It was with Bane.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got them out.
Well, that's right. They had to redo all of his audio.
I own the darkness, you know. Like, but it was so bad that like no one could understand them, and so they had to like quick fix was like get some subtitles up, but then I think they had to like relaunch it or something.
There's actually I showed that in my class. Actually, I have a video. So I have the IMAX trailer, which shows the beginning with the original Bane voice, and then it shows you the actual release. So Tom Hardy had to go back in and re-record all of his lines.
Really?
Yeah,
because they botched it.
Yeah,
man, that's
well,
an
not so much
expensive
that they
mistake.
botched it, but it was more of a they thought they sounded it good and it didn't. So yeah, they botched it. We'll say that.
Yeah, botch, right. I mean, anything you have to redo maybe could be a botch. But so, yeah, that's a really good point. So your audio quality trumps video quality if you're starting out. I think in production too, like a lot of videographers, they actually will use like a lower grade camera sometimes for a style or like a certain framing or effects and stuff. But like, so like just the importance of audio across anything. You've walked out of theaters, you've shut off a podcast. Like how often?
Oh no, I'm a total snob when it comes to stuff like that.
As you should.
I can listen to TV shows and I can tell you when it was recorded in that room and what lines of dialogue were recorded ADR wise after the fact.
Oh, okay. In
So
post.
I'm like, well, it sounds like
I started picking up on that too because like the camera will cut away, and the camera will cut away a little too early sometimes, and the guy will finish his sentence, but it like there's a slight change.
Yeah, so you like if you're paying attention, it's you miss the room tone, and it's just super dry.
Right.
But that's the person that's also editing the audio. So my side says add some ambient room noise, add just a little tiny bit of reverb to their voice, so it sounds like they're in a room or space. Boom, problem solved.
Right.
But
And
but I also think I know what I'm talking about half the time too, which is
Oh, you
always the
definitely
case.
do.
Oh no, I'm full.
12
of crap.
years? You're teaching at a college, or you're teaching at Utah Tech.
Oh, yeah.
You know what you're talking about.
I had to say the same thing every semester.
Yeah.
After 24 times, I believe it myself.
Yeah, you're like, maybe I know this year more than I know. No, seriously, like you bring up some important things because nothing will kill any type of entertainment. If you're streaming on Twitch, even I've tried to like go support a friend who's like, I'm starting a video game stream on Twitch or my YouTube content's up, and yeah, if I hear crackling in there, or if I just hear bad etiquette, it's a great microphone, but I hear like, like chewing gum, I lose my mind. Mallory does too.
Well, the
I
thing
don't know
that
if that
surprised
bothers
me
you.
was COVID time. And so you had all the nighttime talk show hosts doing stuff at home. You had Fallon, biggest disappointment. He had his laptop and his earbuds in. Earbuds, is that what they called? Earbuds?
Yeah,
earbuds. I'm sorry, I'm not an Apple guy, so I should be.
AirPods.
AirPods, thank you, not the dog.
Oh, earbuds.
I'm thinking of Airbuds, the dog.
Yeah, he had golden retrievers. In
Yeah,
his
yeah,
ears.
he had little golden retrievers. Thank you. But it was just him and his laptop, and it was poor. I'm like, dude, you're like the Tonight Show.
Yeah, like you can't get some stuff ordered.
But then you switch over to Kimmel, and he's got almost a semi-production at home. And I'm like, just get a decent mic and a better camera, and you're ready to go. But this is where I wonder, because we're used to seeing bad video on Zoom.
Yeah.
I think we're accustomed to that. That's what it is. Whether it's FaceTime or Skype, it's always been that way. And we're also used to a certain lower quality of audio. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. The video, yeah, there's only so much we can do. But audio-wise, I had one student that was recording news. And I said, here's a $20 USB microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Just plug it in, talk into it. She'd record it, but it got recorded via her laptop mic. So everything sounded like she's way back here the entire time.
Yeah, box. Yeah.
And finally I said, plug this in, talk into the mic. And it was a night and day difference. It's just a $20 microphone, big deal. But between the two different types of mics, her news quality just skyrocketed 100% just by using the different mic.
Yeah.
So if we had more people paying attention to the audio side, but there's also I just got myself a Yeti mic. I'll throw it in the middle of the table, and it picks up all the sound perfectly.
Yeah, or that's We know that struggles.
Or I have a microphone on my camera. I'll just use that one that's 15 feet away.
Yeah.
It magically will make me sound like the guy that does the movie trailer voices. But
there's no magic, right? There's a lot of setup. There's a lot of intention behind your research and understanding this thing. And I would say to anybody that's starting a podcast or like doing radio or whatever, or even just a video production, if you don't spend time laying a foundation of audio, like you're just shooting yourself in the leg. I think your podcast, I know people that have done 500 plus episodes and they have never upgraded anything. And like your content's great. It's so good, but I don't want to hear the background noise. Like I can hear your laundry room behind you.
Well, I think the other coin side is when you're having this discussion, you and I are having this discussion, but I am very conscious just because of who I am. I'm on the microphone. You're on the microphone. I'm listening here. So I'm thinking, how am I going to sound to your listeners, your viewers?
Right.
I'm concerned about that. Whereas if it was just us, like a second ago, I backed off the mic to make that little representation of the room. Well, if it was just you and me, I just wouldn't have done that. We just would have had a conversation. So I think a lot of podcasters forget that the technology is involved and they're wrapped up in the moment of having this great conversation. Oh, it was funny and we talked and it was great. And the microphone was over here, but we didn't notice it.
Yes.
And so having podcasters pay attention, like, yeah, your content's important. Be in that moment, enjoy it, be open, but your audience has to hear it. If they can't hear it, then why are you having this conversation?
That's a really good point.
I know, because I'm a professor of audio.
You're a professional, right? And like a lot of people, and I catch myself doing this all the time. I'm like, oh, it's fine, because there is some organicness to a podcast, right? Where you want it to feel, realistic, like it's just an actual dialogue. It's not scripted or whatever. But being aware of your etiquette.
Why'd you send me that PDF with 14 pages of what to say?
Are you still on page 3?
There we go.
Okay,
I got the revision.
Because you started bringing up like page 2, and I was like, dude, we're... No, right, but it's not scripted, so it's like...
Hey, page 5, remember Mel? Yeah, Mel, you have to jump in.
Yeah, we have a sponsorship coming up here.
Shit.
So yeah, it's very important, though, to understand that like you're your own producer. Right now, you come from a radio background where the etiquette is like pushed over and over again because, like, is it the FCC or what's the regulatory body?
Yeah, the FCC, Federal Communications Commission.
Right. And so I think there has to be like a certain, is there audio quality standards that a radio must meet?
No.
It's just etiquette.
Yeah.
And what you can and can't say and what you can and can't advertise and stuff like that, right?
Well, that's kind of FCC based, but audio quality is not.
It's not regulated.
No.
Okay.
Content is.
Content is, okay.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit different with podcasts. As you've learned, there's not much regulation.
No regulation.
Which I think is good, obviously, because we want people to speak their mind. It's long-form content. It's not on the radio in your face. It's like you have to go find it.
Whereas radio, you could just stumble across. It's public airwaves.
Yeah, public airwaves. Yeah. So a little bit. I'm glad there's a regulatory body, but with your own production,
I don't. Get rid of them. I get stuff to know.
Yeah,
different story. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you're probably fed up with them.
There's a number of times when, for me, for radio to survive, I think their restrictions of contents need to be loosened.
I see.
So
reevaluated.
I think that they're, if everyone's worried about, saying the wrong word or saying certain things, I can say that on a podcast and get 1 million views. I say it on the radio and I lose my job.
I see.
So, and if you're going for content and viewership and listenership and numbers, what's going to bring in those numbers.
Right.
I'm just taking the ethics part and throwing that aside.
Sure.
So if you want to be Red Meat Radio and you want to be Howard Stern, you want to put Joe Rogan on the radio, you want to talk about whatever it is, you want to play the songs that have all the words uncensored, and you want to have interviews with people that is uncensored, I think that would bring more
people back
strength
to
to radio.
And it could be because they're so interchangeable where you could have your podcast go live on the radio, but because it's a double, like because that has its own set of rules, it's really hard to like maintain an interesting podcast while being FCC compliant.
Don't
right?
say the naughty word.
So
I'll record podcasts that go on the radio, and I tell them this is going to go on the radio, but then they end up swearing in the podcast, which upsets me because either A, I don't put it on the radio, or B, I have to go back and edit out whatever they said before it goes on the radio.
Because I think when we were chatting with you, we're like, hey, maybe we could have some of Blueform's clients on there on the radio, like one of your stations that the college is running right through you. And I was thinking about it after we drove off from that like our get together, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to edit the podcast because, you know, sometimes the guests will get on there and just let loose, which is kind of what's cool about a podcast, that it is uncensored. So I'm like, yeah, we'll have to be very selective about those if we ever do, you know, put some of our stuff on there or some of our clients. So,
but with no FCC oversight on podcasts, you're able to have that and free and go. And since it's something that anybody can produce and anybody can access, it doesn't have to be regulated like the airwaves are because you have limited spectrum and whatnot.
Yeah, limited reach as well if you don't know what you're doing. And so that's important to know. So like if you're podcasting, it's a great medium to go speak your mind. But because there is so little like regulation or stuff out there, like there's literally no requirements. You could record your podcast like on a record, on a vinyl, and like play it back into the mic. Like you could do anything. And so that's why there's just this high...
Don't be giving my students ideas. I've seen some weird stuff at the radio station. That's one I haven't seen yet. But
hey, there's one for the books.
If they can record it onto vinyl, then they'll get an A in the class. So if they can figure out how to do that, then I'll give them points.
The dying art of vinyl. Maybe we could do a whole podcast about that because that's one of Mal's passions too, is you just buying vinyl. And
both Joseph and I were like, let's do it.
I have a couple of videos I show in my class. One is a group of musicians that do a one take onto vinyl.
Whoa.
And so they brought in a bunch of people, and it was just like, okay, in 3 days of practice, are you ready to go? And they had the lathe guy, and it was like 1, 2, 3, and just
send it.
Right, just one take, no mix, no post mixing, nothing. And then they took it, walked into the other room, put it on the record player, and said, "Here you go.
This is the final."
And
Dude, that's cool.
Which was really cool, except the audio guy.
Uh-oh.
So the last scene is everybody's in the room listening to the record. Where is the sound coming from that I'm listening to? The camera across the room. They could have plugged right into the audio source. They could have plugged in. So I'm listening to the record player across the room while everyone's jamming out. And I'm going, I can't hear the nuances of the sound. I can't hear that because they're just recording the speaker. So a great 15-minute video just down the flusher in the last 30 seconds.
So
Dear NPR, your news thing was horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's how easily it can get messed up because audio is like the foundation. Just like this podcast is the foundation of your content creation. Hey, zinger. But it's the same concept. Like if you do not have good audio, you are more prone. Like you'll just lose listeners. You'll bleed it. But it's not professional.
Everybody thinks audio is easy.
It's not though.
I have GarageBand. I borrowed my friend's Logic for free. I have a MIDI keyboard. I bought Serato. I'm a DJ. I can do all this. So this is something I see with the radio a lot, both with students and with community people that come in to do the radio station.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I can push those buttons. I know how to record. So there's almost a breakdown of you don't know what you're doing. Let me show you how this works and then re-educate them again.
Yeah.
But I noticed that there's just they believe a lot of audio is Harry Potter magic.
Yeah, but it's really like it's so deep. You can walk in up to your ankles, or you can dive in fully submerged. Right? It's like there's so much nuance to it, and I'm picking up on this through Mal. And like the U.S. military wasn't very kind to my eardrums, And so I think I don't pick up on some things.
I noticed no balloons in here.
Yeah, no balloons. Get those out of here. No flashing lights, nothing. But so audio can be simple if you put in the work up front, right? Like obviously like a sound booth that you guys have at the college, that is a lot of work went into building that. I know the college purchased it, but somebody built that. Somebody put the time, the effort, and understanding the dynamics of that room, that isolation booth, and making it the perfect environment or close to. I don't think anyone can ever achieve the perfect environment. It's kind of like a perfect circle.
BYU has one of those.
Do they?
Yeah, down in the Irene Science Center in the basement, they have a complete anechoic chamber.
That's what those are called.
Yeah.
Anechoic chamber.
So it's a room hanging from the building in the middle of it.
So it's suspended.
So it's suspended. And when you walk in on a mesh metal grate, and you have 3-foot long sound cones on every single side of it. You look down, it's below your feet level, above, but zero reverberation in the room.
Zero.
Yeah.
True zero.
Pretty close to true zero.
Yeah, as close as you can get.
You can walk, you just turn around and you can't hear the person that you were speaking to that loudly anymore because their voice is not reflecting off the wall.
Yeah. So like if you stood behind me and you were like saying something, I'd have a hard time hearing it.
Yeah.
Unless it was going directly into my eardrum.
Exactly.
No reverb at all.
And so when we went there, they were actually, a group of students were testing toilets for airplanes to reduce the amount of noise that the toilets make when they flush.
Wow.
That was a project that they were working on.
So an anechoic chamber is where they can really learn about the sound of something.
Yeah, and
because it's true sound, it's no reverb.
Absolute quiet. So they have like some of these places they'll test speakers. So they'll put the speaker here and microphones in different places. Each microphone they can pick up the direct sound of the speaker and determine if the frequencies and everything is all right.
Yeah.
And again, there's minimal, if not any, reflection off the walls. So yeah, if we had like a super anechoic chamber, those are about $1 million a piece.
Yeah.
You know some
probably.
donors? We need an anechoic chamber in here.
Yeah, get it to Utah Tech.
There we go.
Yeah, sponsors, can we get one?
We can sit in there for a half hour with the lights off and let's lose your mind with sensory deprivation.
Oh man, yeah, like dark. Yeah.
Oh, we get one of those like salt bathtubs that they have. That you can do that. Oh man, dude, you're giving me some ideas here.
Yeah, I mean the
kids wanted a hot tub, but we're going to have that instead.
Yeah, that's great. Dude, get that going. Dude, like total sensory deprivation. That would be crazy to hear. Is it when you've been in that chamber? Have you been in that one at BYU?
Yeah,
and it's like a trip.
Oh yeah. It's really trippy.
It's an experience. Okay, yeah, that would be really cool to play around with that. But there's so much science to sound, and there's so much of our world that is frequency, that is sound, vibrational states. Like, I mean, we are frequency beings. Technically, there's a bunch of science about we're 70% salt water. So when a vibration or a frequency hits our body, like you've probably been at a concert and you stand at the base and it's just like blasting you. That it really does affect the mind, the body, the soul, whatever you want to call it. But it's fascinating to me. So audio is utmost importance. If you were to rank all the elements that you need for a podcast, audio would be top.
I would say, yeah.
Easily.
And honestly, it doesn't take a lot to have good audio. Yeah. It just takes just a little bit of common sense in my mind to say, here's your mic.
It takes some effort.
Here's your environment, and here's your recording space.
Yeah.
And even here, I mean, you have a really quiet recording space. You have stuff on the walls. With these mics and even with your mixer, we can take this stuff off the walls, and you would still have good sound.
Exactly.
You wouldn't need the sound reinforcement.
Yeah, the sound
it
treatment
looks cool.
Yeah, it looks good. So it serves a dual purpose. And it's great. And these are all modular too, right? You've seen. So this background behind you and mine can be, we've never really talked about this in this studio that we have here, but all of this is modular. So I can swap out a background and get new lighting. Everything's kind of meant to have some customization because we have so many podcasts in here and we have some more rooms building or have built them. But that's for more visual stuff, though. Audio, we need, and Mallory's probably going to nod her head here, but we need more sound treatment in some other places.
Correct.
Reverb's a little high if we get clappy.
Just work on the processing. Your little mixer there has built-in. Come on, Mal.
Yeah.
Didn't you read the instruction manual?
She's
grew up in
taking
a-
it to another level. Yeah.
I can.
I have
can't
the
see-
Chris Lord algae mindset where I'm like, if I have to mix anything in post, I'm mad.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
can't
true.
see her, but I know she's flipping me off right now.
No, probably.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got the middle fingers ready for a lot of people. But no, seriously, it's really cool hearing this passion about audio because we try to convey this to people, business owners, podcast hosts, everything, and they're in a go mindset.
Yeah. A couple
cool,
mics.
cool. Yeah, sure,
I went to
sure.
Staples and bought something. I'm fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't understand like how easily something can go wrong on the audio and why. Like our worst nightmare is if we botch video. We're okay with. We can kind of snip that. We can cut it. But if the audio is botched, so that's why we always have a backup recording going. So we have our OBS, our software's recording, and then we have our what is that called? Our interface is also recording as well. And if we had a third,
I'm going to mess with your equipment here in a second.
do it.
So what happens sometimes is you have you maybe, and if you're not paying attention to the sound, it's
Right.
and that's why I
a
bring
great
up the-
example.
Probably second. If you're on first with microphones, probably second is headphones.
Yes, headphones is a good point.
I have a lot of my podcasts. Well, do I have to wear that? I'm like, you need to be able to hear
Yes.
what you're doing so that if this is happening or you're doing this, that's my favorite thing.
The only I've had to convince Mal to be open-minded, but if we're at this table, if we're at a table, we always make everybody wear headphones. But when someone's in a reclined position in a solid chair that's not going to do this, if they're in a fixed chair, a fixed position, and they're just talking, we do sacrifice audio quality a little bit, right, Mal? But we've had some new clients here that have zero experience on a mic, and I was just producing with them this morning, and they were we no headphones, but a fixed microphone. This was actually attached to the wall in our other studio. You guys will see it on some content, but it's just fixed right here. The chair is fixed, and so their head movement, nothing crazy, and they're sitting in an upright position. It's a little bit loungy, not too much though, because if you get like this, then people's mannerisms change and they like move around a little bit more. But
Well, we got to talk about the after the podcast, probably the Rode wireless mics that go
yeah,
work
we
with
have
your. Do you
six
have
of
them?
Yeah,
The wireless ones, the little square ones.
yeah, little lapel guys.
Oh, well then I
Yeah.
need to talk to you about that. Then never mind. You need to talk to me about that. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, cool. You thinking about getting some more?
Yeah. Because I'm like,
They're great.
Maybe using those instead of these for some of those fixed.
They,
that
Mal
little-
would know.
Mal, what do you say?
About lapels?
Yeah,
No. Those Rodecaster.
the Rode Wireless goes.
Yeah.
So they are lapel mics. But,
I am not a lapel fan at all.
It's just like a little square box.
yeah, they're great for video, like with movement. Like if I'm
Yeah, if you're doing like a videography setup, but for a podcast, I'm like, just plug in an XLR. Don't make this hard.
Yeah. Well, it depends. If we're out in the mountains, like I was on a hunt with some of our clients, and we mic'd up with those wireless goes, and got some good, stuff that we could use. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like a studio quality though at all. But I think it's more for like movement going. Hey, I'm at the convention. Follow me around.
Gotcha.
You could try it though. But I think a lot of people move. I've noticed a lot of fabric moving that they catch, even if we're using a lavalier.
The other one I
clip it
was
on the
looking at
bone.
was the headset mics that the sports broadcasters
Hey,
use.
that's what
trying to figure out. And like,
our
would that be
clients do.
easier?
We get a lot of mouth
We
noise.
like those a lot. Those are cool.
I get a lot of mouth noise on them. I'm not a fan because I hear if somebody's like always adjusting it, it's just like it's like that. But if they're not, and I think it's easier to teach etiquette like that, but it doesn't pick up on this, So that's it. It's a
Or-
good nuance.
You watch Ted Lasso? Mal?
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso?
Unfamiliar.
Okay. Jason Sudeikis goes to England to run a soccer club, even though he has zero soccer experience.
Oh, so is he announcing the soccer?
No. He's in charge of he's the manager of the team.
Oh, cool.
So even though he's never anyway, but you have a lot of broadcast moments, and there was a new type of microphone I've never seen, and this is used for a lot of sporting events in England, where the bar sits on your lip, there's a flat plate that goes over your nose so that your nose breathing doesn't get picked up by the microphone. And you set it right there
On
and
your chin.
hold it the entire time, so that you're right on top of that microphone the entirety of the broadcast. They love it because when you could be in a loud environment, like in the stands of a soccer game in England, when those things are going crazy, they can still get their noise picked up without all the other noises.
All the ambient, yeah.
Same microphone for, was it snooker? Is that what they call it? The billiards game, the pool game that they play in a.
Oh,
So it's the exact same microphone.
so they can whisper into it.
So yeah, now he's going to hit the 8 ball into the corner or score. And it's the same microphone,
Yeah.
able to pick up super quiet or super loud
So
sounds.
it allows the host or the announcer to really have more control.
But when you see it, you have this thing that's it's. I mean, they have to hold it on in front of their mouth. So
it's like a scuba mask on.
you're talking about one of these guys, or handheld, or the wireless, or even the headset mics. I'm like, here, put this so it rests on the bridge of your nose or underneath your nose.
Yeah, because then the breathing is an issue for me. We've gotten into audio books as well, and so we kind of treat this room a little extra, and we've got a process down with a condenser mic to do audiobooks. It's really rich sound. I think for what our capables, I think we're pretty impressed with it. We don't have like a Neumann or anything like you guys got at the college though, but
You got
maybe we
government
could
money I
rent those.
spend.
Yeah, exactly. Government money. That government money.
Yeah. Actually, I've been lucky at the radio station. I've been able to finagle things the last decade to be able to have money. So I'll go years and not spend.
Right.
And then I'll blow it all on a bunch of cool stuff, and then I'll wait a couple more years. So,
What's your most expensive microphone?
I think
the
it's
college?
I just bought a Neumann and a Rode, and then the guy that I bought the sound booth from gave me a Sennheiser 412.
Right.
So
That was that really unique looking mic.
that was the long, narrow one.
Yeah, it looks like an alien spaceship.
Yeah. So I think two of them are in the $1,000 plus, and I think the Rode. I think the Rode was about a couple hundred, $400 or $500 or so. So
Right.
I got those because I want to teach more voiceover stuff and provide the students, hey, these are some high quality microphones that give you different sound qualities on your voice.
That's awesome.
Find the microphone that's going to be best suited for your voice.
That's so cool.
The small Neumann, the small Neumann that I got is the same Neumann that Howard Stern uses. But he also runs it through some pretty hefty processing.
Oh yeah, he's got all the big machines in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of voiceover actors, they use the Neumann. I can't remember which one it is. Mal probably knows.
The U87.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the $4,000 one.
Yep.
You can find ones from the 70s that are in the $20,000-$30,000 range. Yeah,
Holy
we recorded the Beatles with this and stuff.
Yeah.
If I ever buy one of those, my life will be complete, by the way.
This is a little bit niche and nuanced, but I want to dive into it. We didn't get much. We haven't got much of your background yet,
okay.
but we'll get there in a second. Analog audio versus digital audio. What do you prefer?
Uh-huh.
Because you brought up that microphone from the 70s being worth so much, right? Because there is a huge desire for old school analog for some reason.
This is like lesson 3 in my class, actually.
Oh, cool.
Analog versus digital. But personally, I grew up with records.
Right.
I grew up with cassette tapes. My parents had a 8-track to cassette adapter so I could listen to cassette tapes in their 8-track vehicle. But the sound quality was never that great. My dad had like the big stereo system. I think that's how he taught my mom, hey, come over and see my stereo system, my hi-fi. And he had records and speakers and stuff, and he actually had some audio background in his life, which I think I picked up on a little. When I would love to have the money to get the equipment, to have the record player, to have the speakers, and to have the space to truly enjoy high quality analog productions.
Right.
But that also means finding a analog press from an analog recording and an analog edit. because
Right.
we know that it's like it was recorded and then they digitized it, and then they, I can take whatever I want off of Napster and put it on a record player. Big deal.
Right.
But if I had an analog to analog to analog, I would appreciate that. But the record player I want is about $30,000.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to justify spending $25 at Walmart for a reissue of Led Zeppelin and listen to it on my $30,000 record player
Yes.
and then not have food for the rest of the year.
It's so crazy that you mention these prices, and to people that are like, well, it's just audio. How is it that deep? How does it go that far? But almost any like fine handcrafted substance or anything that gives the human experience more sensory, ears, sight, visual, like IMAX, 4K, right? That's all visual. It's the same in the audio. It's the same with tastes and flavors with fine wines or scotches or, like the most expensive cigar I've smoked was like a $60 cigar, right?
Man, you high roller.
Yeah, that's hefty. But like normally I'm smoking a cigar that's like $20, $25 for one stick, and it's like really a great experience.
No, I mean,
a
couple months ago, I went and got a Wagyu steak for the first time.
Yeah,
$100 for something that big.
Oh man,
but it was
delicious.
that experience, those sensory things.
Yeah.
So
So that's like what you're describing is that level of sensory audio, analog to analog to analog. But if you really go into the purest space of that, you're like over 100,000 just in the hobby, right? And just like the digital, the analog recording, like what are those called, Mal? The
reel-to-reels,
the Death Star looking control panels that are like as big as a room. I mean, what do those cost, Mal? Like 100K plus?
Oh,
Yeah,
no. Much
more.
It depends. I mean, if you want the sexiest one out there, you'll spend
like a mil.
$900K. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that it's real. That's how important this sensory function of our human ears is to the media space. Is like you can go that deep on it. It's
but
that
we don't.
important. But we don't.
We don't. And I'm guilty of it too.
Right. It's got to stop.
When I started,
realistic.
I was in college. MP3 was a new thing. Napster was a new thing, and so it was like, how many songs can I get? I used to record songs off the radio, and that quality was horrible. Recording low quality MP3s. Well, it's like I got a 200 of these songs on a single CD. This is amazing. I was more concerned about how many I can get, quantity over quality. And even when I was ripping, I spent all these years at radio stations, and I stole every single music library. I just ripped it onto MP3. Yeah. Looking back, I wish I would have ripped it into waveform, high quality, and had the quality of the sound.
Yeah, because then you could throw it into DAW. Mm-hmm. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workspace, and that's where you could fine-tune that wave file. It's
beautiful.
It gives you layers to edit. But an MP3, right, pushes that. Yeah.
And I had a 20 gig hard drive, so that's all I can do. So it was like one of those things. So even today, I have hundreds of thousands of MP3s in files and full albums and everything. And I have a 0.5 terabyte thumb drive in my car with hundreds of albums. They're all MP3 and they're all okay. But then I also walk around the house with Spotify playing out of my phone speaker out of my back pocket, and it sounds horrible, but that's what I listen to. And I think, and I see that over and over. There's not many people that sit there and go, I need to enjoy the quality of the music. It's just having it there. It's like, all right, cool, the new Lizzo song, the new Taylor Swift, and let's play it on my phone with crappy speakers and no bass and whatnot.
And you still, and nobody still enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're enjoying it, but you're not enjoying the fullness of what it could be.
Exactly.
But the jump to take that is so huge, most people can't afford it or don't want to spend the time to do it.
Well, you just described my experience with whiskey. Like I will spend, $300 on a nice bottle or more, but I don't do that. I don't drink that every day. Like it kind of makes it more like sacred to me, right? Oh.
Sorry, Mal. I'm working on the mic.
Oh,
no, this doesn't make me upset at all.
She's cringing.
There we go.
That's better.
But yeah, the finer things like that, they're special because it's not an everyday thing, right? Like, I was just listening to Beastie Boys in my garage on my phone, And my Bluetooth speaker was an arm's length away. I could have turned it on, but I was like, I'm doing something, whatever, play it. And I just wanted the tune. So I'm listening to Sabotage as I like build something. I'm like, Sabotage.
No, it's
Yeah,
there we go. It's all
that's how
muffled
it
and
sounds.
stuff. Yeah.
That was actually like a 1-for-1 recreation. And then you ever do like the party trick where you put your phone in the cup and you're like, now it's a
Thank
speaker.
you.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm glad you know that. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Just amplifies it. But yeah, you're right. We don't. We have all this nice stuff. And even this is analog capture, but it's going into an interface that's turning it into digital.
You're lowering the quality of this
Exactly.
awesome, soothing voice into some digital,
Oh, man.
chopped up bit rate, blah.
Yeah, there's downs to it. But if we could, I mean, the purist in Mallory and in you, probably, you guys would go analog all the way if you could, if it was more possible, if there was better tech for it or whatever. Yeah, I mean, the digital way, it's the convenience, it's the way
It's
it goes.
easy. It's convenient. I can take it. I can grab it. I can edit it. I can distribute it. Boom, boom, boom.
And it's still amazing quality.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, at higher levels.
And
stuff.
most people don't notice. They don't care.
Yeah.
And even if you're listening to a high quality digital, it's still in that realm of good quality analog.
Yeah,
And as you said, it's a purist that listens to it and goes, I can hear the difference.
right.
But for the vast public, they're like, I still enjoy it. I can still hear the highs. I can still feel the bass thump. What more do I need?
Exactly. I got to get you in contact with one of our friends. His name's Marcus Zitting, and he's a DJ. He's done a ton of EDM stuff, and like
Yeah, but can he get the bride out to the dance floor? Is he that kind of DJ?
he's got it down pretty good. Yeah, he's another audio nut here in town, so I think he'd be interesting to talk to. Yeah, but he builds custom homes. That's his main line. So
We'll go to dinner and have like everything in sign language. We just won't talk.
yeah,
We're not allowed to have. We have sensory deprived. No, it just headphones. And
Yep, exactly. But well, let's get back to you. So, you unpacked, or you got into audio. You've done years of radio, years of stuff. What are you most passionate about in all the stuff that you teach?
my cat. I love my cat.
Your cat.
My cat.
Yeah.
Mugu the cat. He's fantastic. No. What am I most passionate about with what
That
I
you
teach?
teach.
That
Yeah.
I teach?
Like, what gets you up in the morning to get there?
Paycheck.
Besides
Actually,
that.
no, not the
Just
pay.
kidding.
Honestly, no. I mean, I am very grateful for the paycheck.
Right.
Working at the college is way better than working at most radio stations.
Right.
The environment's better. The people are better. I got great coworkers. I have great supervisors and great support for everything I do.
Do you have a lot of autonomy there as well?
Oh, absolutely. And I think those are probably the things. I have a lot of great people that support what I do, and I have the autonomy to do what I want. Nobody has come in and said, hey, change your format or don't do this or do that. Usually it's me saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And they go, fantastic. As long as nobody complains, doesn't cost us any money, go for it.
Yeah.
But like the podcast thing, my podcast studio, that's gaining more and more attention. Putting that third radio station up, now I'm getting the multicultural students involved with that. My second classical and talk station, I get community people involved. So, I think a lot of those things are probably the things that get me involved. Seeing when it clicks, when people are excited.
Yeah.
It's always fun to have people excited about the stuff you're excited about.
Yes.
And at the same time,
That's
it's
why
also,
when we came to your studio, we're like brag away, gloat, show us. It's impressive. If you guys haven't checked out Sean's studio at Utah Tech, and I want to promote this too because we jokingly say like we're competitors, but we're really just extremely passionate about what we do. And your setup is phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I think you should raise your prices. But,
I'm going to. Don't worry.
Yeah. But if you guys want to get off the ground with a podcast, go talk to Sean. Like, it's affordable. It's effective.
Is this the obligatory drop the email here?
Oh, yeah, we could if you want.
The easy one that I use, apodcaststudio@gmail.
apodcaststudio@gmail.com.
It was available. It's easy. It says what it is.
It says what it is. It's beautiful. Yeah. And so we're not, we will, the more people in St. George, the more people in this area that start podcasting, I think is just better for everybody.
We do two different types of podcasts too. So, and that's fine.
It's great. And we've just,
I mean, there's a place for Coke and there's a place for Dr. Thunder. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I kid.
Pepsi and Coke, right? But they still go down smooth either way. But either way, the podcast studio, I think you're the only one in St. George that does the amount of quantity like we do as well, like quantity podcasts. How many are you doing right now producing?
Yeah, between 7 and 10 a week that are regular everyday clients. So I have a handful of community people, and then I have a smaller handful of college-based ones as well.
Nice. It's a lot of work, man. And we're doing about the same volume. Like we're at 9, I think, right now. And then if we count my video game hobby podcast that I'm starting to revive, we'll be at 10. But that one doesn't line our pockets with nothing. So
yeah, but it's a video game. Come on, man.
It's fun though. Yeah,
Mario has a
way
place
fun.
in your life. It's okay.
Oh, yeah,
Blake likes to give me more work with no pay.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for. Okay. I just got to get you more to do. No, anyway. So keep going though. You're passionate about.
Well, I walked in, so maybe I can back up. So I was at Canyon Media for a number of years. I moved to St. George after a divorce. So I'm like, if I'm going to be dad, I'm going to be in St. George, which is why I ended up here. Worked at the radio station for a number of years, and things were going good. And usually things go sideways with new management, which is what happened. And so having been in radio, and they say you've never really been in radio till you've been fired 5 times. And so
is that the saying? That's like
something like that. Yeah. I mean, as I said, I mentioned earlier about being fired at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had a police escort out of one of my jobs in Elko, Nevada. Ironically, hired 15 minutes later at the other station across town. You're like, oh, that guy's a jerk. Come on in, you're hired.
Yeah,
so,
we need a good radio guy.
That's another fun story. So having seen the writing on the wall, I'm like, okay, this guy is, this is not going well. It's time to leave or do something. Anyway, so one of the other managers left, quote unquote, and got a job at the college. And so I was like, take me there, whatever it is. And so basically I quit my job and took probably about a 65, 70% pay cut.
Ouch.
To work at the college as an adjunct professor. I think it was like $800 a month is what I was making.
Wow.
Before taxes. So,
oh my gosh.
With the idea of, okay, I'm going to do this, go back to school for my master's, and, whatever I need to do to make it happen. So,
did you kind of have aspirations to make that program yours?
I did, yeah. My predecessor, a fantastic guy, but he was getting close to retirement, and he had some other things going on. I figured, well, I'll sit over here, do my thing, help him out, help out the station, and then we'll see what happens as time goes on. So within a year, they had moved him over to a different position, made me manager. It was a classical music station, and we had no students, no listeners, broken transmitter, questionable FCC stuff. The list went on and on. So over the last 13 years for me, it's been, okay, let's get the students involved. Let's play some current music. Got the students involved. And then that started bringing in more funding from student fees. And then I was able to buy more stuff. Okay, let's change out these crappy mics for good mics. Let's get a new mixer, so on and so forth. Oh, wait, now I have an opportunity to pick up a second radio station.
Nice.
So now I can play the hip hop bing bong music and the alternative and everything else for the kids. And I can have that classical. Oh, I can add jazz to it. Oh, maybe I'll add some talk programming. So I've had fun programming both these stations. And then recently, hey, here's a third radio station. Nice. And then a couple of years ago, hey, I'm going to build a podcast studio. Oh, now I have an isolation booth. So I've kind of thrived on building this radio audio empire, part of the college. And I'm also getting to the point where more and more people are starting to use the facilities. They're becoming aware of them. And on a prideful point for me, they're using me.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, Sean, we want you to be the voiceover guy for the announcements at the stadium. They asked me to read all 3,000 names of the 9/11 victims for 9/11.
Oh, wow.
That was a big project.
Yeah, that's a lot of...
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk a little bit about voice acting, because you have a really good radio voice. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. And by the
I'm
way,
not even using it.
Yeah. Like you're using it on some podcast intro. Oh, you're not even, like right now, you're not using it.
No, but if I want to use the radio voice, I can just break into it a little bit, get closer to the mic, get my proximity effect working. Start speaking for the diaphragm a little more. I kind of get that cheesy thing going on a little bit when I do this.
A little bit of show.
We got a stack of wax for all you Jills and Jacks out there. Hey. It's the top 8 at 8. All right, here on the favorite local radio station. Hey, who's this? All right, good call out. Good boo boo.
Toss it over to me. 1015 Smooth Jazz.
But I'll do.
That's awesome. Dude.
I also
That's
do.
fun. You got me going.
I do Burger King ads for the Bahamas. The new Starfish Burger at Burger King Nassau. You know, comes with tartar sauce. I don't know.
Okay, so the Bahamas, they're like, we must have this man. This man must do our commercials, and you're like, you're out there.
He doesn't talk like that, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's
so
how
for the last 10
someone
years,
in the
I've been the voice of Burger King Nassau, where taste is king. But I get a kick out of it.
man.
It's fun. And I try not to take myself too seriously about it either.
Oh, you
'cause
can't.
People are like, because I've known voice people that are just like, I am the voice of God. I'm like, shut up. You can't even turn a computer on. I know, but I talk amazing. So I go
That's so
back
cool.
to, I'm like, if you want to know how to talk, that's great. You have the voice, that's great. You want to make money off of it, then learn how to record it. So learn both sides of the equation.
That's so cool, man.
and
I'm actually starting to get into narration and voice acting myself. I goof
Practice
a lot.
at Thanksgiving dinner. Honey, pass the potatoes.
Yeah.
Thank you. These green beans are crispy.
Wow. Yeah. No, I joke around and do a lot of goofy accents all the time, but yeah, I mean it's a lot. So when you say you did the names for 3,000 9/11 victims, like that, it takes a lot out of you just to do that. If you like narrated a book, have you ever narrated a book or anything? Or, yeah, it's intensive work.
Well, the book was easier because I'm reading sentences and I'm going
yeah, you're
through,
following.
but I'm reading each name probably 3 times before I actually get it pronounced right.
Did you ever get emotional during it at all? Or
No. But ironically, I was editing all of these names on September 10th while on an airplane.
Oh wow.
Some guy's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, everybody who died on 9/11? Like, what?
Like,
So-
that would get some people nervous.
But then they took that and they played it at the clock tower at the university. So all 3,000 names were said over like I think 2.5 hour period.
Yeah. Wow.
So
That's a big audio file.
I'll send you a copy.
Yeah. I'm good.
Okay.
I'll read.
It's either the Beastie Boys or the names of people who died. So
Yeah, that would get me fired up in more ways I'd like to talk about on this podcast. But I have another podcast. We could dive into that. But that's awesome, man. So you're kind of like the king of radio around here in a way. Your efforts have really
Popper, I think. But yeah, okay.
yeah. But it's cool what you've built. We respect the hell out of it, man. It's awesome. And so I think we're going to have a pretty good relationship going forward with what Blueform could offer. I mean, you've already sent us 2 interns that are here in the studio, checking it out for the first time.
I don't know, man. The semester's not over. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if they make the cut here.
I'm watching you guys.
He's watching you. He's watching you. But yeah, it should be fun. So, and then we have Anna, who's been with us for a little bit, and she is going to be taking your class, I think, next semester. I think her plan is to get her
Change your
general
major.
that way.
Just change your major now,
change
Anna.
your major.
Go into accounting. Make real money.
Yeah. Yeah. Abandon ship. Yeah. No, but that's where I think too is the misnomer. I mean, or the misconception is there is real money in this, right? And it's just shifted gears. I think the internet's just going so fast.
And it's changing all the time, too.
Changing. Oh my gosh.
I actually taught a intro to podcasting lesson today, ironically.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to, how digital audio started, the distribution and MP3 players, Napster, and the whole 9 yards, and then turning it into audio blogging and where we're at today. So we go back, and when I think of podcasting, I think of iPod, I think of audio content. And that's where my mind is set. That's not podcasting. Podcasting is this. It's conversation. It's the cameras.
Yep.
It's
The topics, the content, everything. The
it's just all over the
personalities.
place. But the production side is I think it's more video than it is the audio.
Oh,
it's
and-
more. We want to be on the shorts. We
Yeah.
have to be on the Instagram. We have
It's
to
the
be on
social
YouTube.
media.
Putting up an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour podcast on Spotify, yeah, it's nice, and some people listen. You got the Joe Rogans that like to do that, but more people seem to be interested in the short form. So we have what we're doing here, and I'm assuming you're probably going to chop this up into a million pieces.
Yeah, so this will be Anna actually is our editor for this. So
Got
she'll
your
be
work cut
cutting
out
up
for you,
these.
Anna.
Yeah, exactly. So she'll be making you look good. Putting some B-roll footage to it, jump cuts, slicing it up. So then that is basically a hook, right? It pulls people in, say, hey, who is this? What is going on here? And then they hopefully click on links and get to the actual long form is the goal.
And so with that, you have more production time. more production value.
Right.
You're spending more money on equipment. So, yeah, as we talked about before, one person with their iPhone, they hit record and they have a podcast. It's easy.
Yeah.
But when you want to take it to this level, which is what I think more people want, they want the cameras, they want the lighting, they want this because they see it, others are doing it, and it's possible. And then it's just a matter where you and I are saying, okay, well, how much are you willing to spend to get it done, to get that? Because here's the time, here's the effort. Here's your 15, 20-second TikTok. Well, that came out of an hour and a half podcast that we then spent, 6, 10, 12 hours editing to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, Anna's been cutting clips today, and she's, in the space of an hour, because she's got a process down, and there's a lot to it in Adobe Premiere, editing, elements, all this stuff. And yeah, it probably takes her about an hour to cut 2 to 3 high quality, just what we call in the biz bangers. They're just awesome. They're just banging.
Since I'm not officially I'm just in the educate. Is that BA? BANG?
BANGER, banger. But those they just got some punch to them, stuff that we've had some of our clips and some of our content reach up into the millions. Before Instagram changed their payouts, we had a client making like $1,000 a month almost.
Oh, wow. Just
off of silly Instagram clips or like somebody talking about some politic issue, right? And so it was cool.
That's it. But that's a combination of we have a good short piece of content, recorded in high quality video and audio, edited down so it's just the right length, and then we're not even accounting for we're not even accounting for the hashtag and everything else that goes with it after the fact. This is just
that's a whole nother science,
and then
just understanding how much there's 5, 6, 7 social media platforms, and they're all changing constantly. And so like having a social media manager is like unbelievably valuable. And good social media managers are making upwards multiple 6 figures, multiple millions, like working for companies and other big names and big brands, because that attention, those eyeballs and the earballs of listening to this audio are so valuable for marketing, for whatever. And so I hope that we can look with this relationship of Blueform and the college, like number one, we can just sit down and have some good convos. Number two, it's like we can really kind of put this place on the map for like kind of this is where really high quality productions can happen at any level in the game. And so it's really cool to have you on, man, and just hear your passion for audio and like your journey, everything. So I hope to have you on again with more updates, because I think we have some birds in the oven.
I can keep talking forever.
I know.
Here, so there's
you're
lots
radio.
of
You're a radio guy. I mean, that was your job. That's what your whole profession.
Oh, come on. I got a whole half hour on just being the police escort thing. That one's fantastic.
Yeah. We'll have you on again for sure. But anything else you want to like end on? Any other like quick little story, or what would you give some advice for someone in the Southern Utah area to starting a podcast?
Do you want to actually do a podcast?
I'm so glad you brought that up. What would be a good test someone could do to themselves, or text, like how would they know that I could do a podcast?
What podcasts do you actively subscribe to, listen to, or view that are in the same genre of something that you want to do, and what's going to make yours different?
That's a good one.
Half of that I stole from an NPR article, but that's okay.
Hey, that's good. So that's really important. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know how much work it is. Even if you have a crew doing everything for you, just being a podcast host once a week, that's still a lot of work, a lot of preparation, a lot of, knowledge.
What, people prepare for these things?
They should, if you don't. I mean, some people wing it and they can do just fine, but yeah, I have to at least prepare my mind and have some knowledge about the topic before I even dive in. So this one, I know enough to ask you the right questions about audio, but so I kind of winged it tonight. But preparation is huge, and the consistency factor is also huge. Is this something? Because when do you stop podcasting if you started one?
What do you mean? When do I stop?
Yeah, like when's the finish line?
I make all my podcasts are timed. So,
sorry, not that. I mean, if you start a podcast and you consistently do one every
Okay.
week, where's the finish line for a podcaster? Not like recording
Gotcha.
time.
Okay.
Where, when do you stop? When does Joe Rogan ever stop his podcast and say, "Hey, I'm retiring"?
You run out of things to talk about. You run out of interest of the things you want to talk about. I think that's what it is.
And that's what's funny. I don't think Joe Rogan will ever stop podcasting. I think he'll be 80.
But that's
as long as he could talk.
That's his 4 decades of media experience, though.
Exactly.
So I have people that I'll sign them up and say, okay, you're going to do X number of podcasts. I had actually one group that I said, we're going to do 10. I said, great, do your 10. Mm-hmm. Well, they're on 20 now.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh,
that's good,
we want to keep going. We like what we did. We talked about these topics that we wanted to. Now we can divert here and divert here. So they're still moving along. I do have some podcasts where I'm like, it's time to wrap up.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
It's, I appreciate the money each month, but sometimes
Yeah. I've never noticed my own echo chamber thoughts as much until I'm, 20 podcasts in, even just on a video game hobby podcast. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've said this before. Here I am talking about the same thing. I'm like, am I running out of topics already? And we haven't even hit 20 episodes. So that's where I think the difficulty lies, is how are you going to stay interesting for the years and years and years it takes to like land a successful big time podcast that everybody seems to think just happens overnight, but it doesn't. Right? It still took Joe Rogan 10, 12 years just podcasting before his podcast even had any traction. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, he's a trained media professional where he's done hosting and UFC host and all sorts of stuff. So he brings a lot of skill to the table as well. But then, that question, state your question again. If a new podcaster came to you, you said it.
What did I say? Do you really want to do a podcast?
Do you really want to do a podcast? Yeah. And then what are the podcasts you're actively listening to that you could emulate? And how would you make it better?
And then the third one is, what are your expectations?
That's
what do you really expect? Well, I expect thousands and millions of people to listen to me. I'm like, who? How are they going to find you? And why should they listen to you?
Exactly. And then there's some numbers to it, where in order for a brand to be successful on social media or whatever, you just need 1,000 followers. Not like a whimsical, I'll follow you, like a person that's actually reoccurring. Yeah, if you can build over a couple of years to 1,000 people that will like absorb your content, like you've made it. And that equals X amount of eyeballs and stuff like that. So I guess the metric would be 1,000 people that actually like and comment on your stuff. That's like all you need. And then it just blows up from there. So it's like a little bit easier metric to digest than like, I need 7 million followers. That's a bigger number. But anyway, interesting topic. We'll have to go down another time, but that's great advice. If you're looking to start a podcast, if you're in Southern Utah, go to Sean. It's a great way to get your teeth cut, right?
Yeah,
and figure it out. Try it on without throwing lots of money at me and Mallory. So if you want to really test yourself, try podcasting. I'd say
I think that's probably a good way to say it. I bring in a lot of these beginning and amateur people that they have no idea what they want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's get you set up. And then if these people are getting to a certain point, and then they can make the money off of it, pass them off to you.
Yeah, we ping pong it around a little bit.
But I have somebody that's like, you know what, I just want to try it, see how it works out. And it's like, okay, well, this, we'll throw a couple bucks at it, no big deal. You try it, great. And there you're out there, you share it with your mom and dad, and you're the next Rebecca Black of podcasting.
Exactly. That's why it's not like a big ouch. Yeah. Right? They can start out with you, and you get a wealth of
and then when they
knowledge
outgrow me, well, I'll bring them over here.
Yeah, send them over. Yeah, so we're more focused on like how can we take that podcast and number one, give it the video, make you look real good, and then also distribute that in the most effective way. So we take the episode and wring it like a lemon and get every drop out. And so
I think my process is a little bit different. Is I make everything timed, so I stick them. So because sometimes I'll take those podcasts and put them on the radio.
You're like
they have to be timed.
Protecting your time as well.
So I'm like, all right, 25 minutes, go. And I have a big timer. They have to look at the timer. I say, you need to get to the point quick.
Hard
So
stop.
when I hit stop at the end of 25 minutes, before they're out of the studio, I've already taken that audio, uploaded it. I've taken the video. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube.
Your process is impressive.
And it's a as if live situation. So I'm not ringing it and trying to get all the shorts and trying to get all the nuances. It's like you came in, you talked, it's out there. Now it's your responsibility to tell people to go find it.
Exactly.
I've put the candy bar in every single store. You tell them it's available.
That's great.
Anyway,
Love it, dude.
different ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's important in community settings and in also like the industries around town. It's like we should all be working together in some way, especially media, because there's such a wealth of knowledge out there for everybody. But it's been awesome having you on, man. You're my
Appreciate
kind of
it.
guy.
Thank you.
We're cracking jokes all the time, so it's good to get on the mic and hear that radio voice. So again, thanks for tuning in. This is Your Content Factory again.
Thanks for tuning in. This
Yeah.
has been Your Content. What was it? Your
Yeah.
Content Factory?
Factory. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
Thank you for tuning in to Your Content Factory.
That's
I get that
good.
right?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well,
There you
give
go.
us your radio outro.
When's the next show? Or when you can find this. Please like, subscribe, and then smash that like button or whatever they say. I don't even know.
Good enough for me, man. We'll take
TikTok voice girl. I don't know. Whatever.
it. Yeah. Oh, can you promote my feet finder as well for me?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
on there.
Oh, wait a second. P.S. Mallory does all the work here.
It's true. I just talk. Dude, thanks for being on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.